So I told my parents I wanted some instruction, and they said, okay, get you a trainer, but you need a goal.
So I've always wanted to get like this. Like I wanted to have veins in my arms all the time and like just like walk around like that. It's not because I wanted to look like this.
Anyone believe that? Or is she doing a lot of copium on top of Anavar? Coach Greg, in today's video, we're going to be talking about a woman, Melissa Broski, who in just 5 months became a bro. I'm sorry. She used to compete in women's bikini and then switched over to women's figure. It's safe to say that if she were to show me the blood work, she's not 1 in a million. She's probably more like 1 in 3, as in the amount of women who are on steroids who compete in bikini and so on. I personally still think she's a very attractive woman. Mepstagram, she disagrees. She doesn't like all that muscle. You need to understand something. If you abuse steroids, even possibly in lower doses, it's slowly going to turn you into a man. Coach Colton, he put together a video, and essentially he's got several of these videos cautioning women, females, of the dangers of using and abusing performance-enhancing drugs. Now, it's not often talked about. People will make fun of you.
Oh, you're a man hating on a woman. She has every right to do what she wants.
Absolutely. She most certainly does. But what you need to know is that if you decide to go this route, this is probably going to happen to you.
A female bodybuilder by the name of Melissa Brodsky had just posted this video that went extremely viral.
Melissa Brodsky, she has 146,000 followers on Instagram. It says the mysterious third thing. And without being too graphic, I do believe the mysterious third thing could in fact be her downstairs. Now, when you use steroids and you abuse them, especially in higher doses, things change. Your vocal cords change, and so your voice is different. You perhaps start to go bald, you lose your hair. You start growing more facial hair, and you slowly transition into becoming a man. Even your bones can change, your jaw, everything. Oddly enough, if you want to support her, her code is MELBRO, MELBRO. Bro. And she's an IFBB pro and a very good one at that. And I do believe that she still, on the outward signs, appears to be feminine. She outwardly looks attractive. And so not all females who use steroids look like a man, but many of them, they start talking like this. Go, David! Notice the difference in voice. In 5 months, she went from sounding very feminine to having the steroid voice. It's very easy to tell.
So I've always wanted to get like this. Like I wanted to have veins in my arms all the time. And
I don't believe it. I don't think that when she was growing up, when she was perhaps a teenager and so on, that she was thinking,
One day, I want to sound like a man. I want to bench press more than most men. I want to flex the biceps and be an IFBB pro.
I believe that slowly over time, after you take a little bit of steroids, you meet different friends and they encourage you to take more. You start out, hey, I'm going to compete in bikini. And now it's actually fit model. I'm going to compete in fit model. You enter fit model and you're thinking, well, if you added maybe 5 or 10 pounds of muscle, you would look that much better. You would perhaps win first place. And so you end up taking steroids. Perhaps it's starting with Anavar, perhaps Ostrine. This is very common. You start with that and there's no changes whatsoever other than you put on a ton of muscle, you burn body fat, and you look significantly better. And so you think, wow, you know what? The next competition, I'm going to go from fit model to bikini. And in women's bikini, they're looking for bigger muscles, harder. And so I'm going to up the doses. Instead of taking 5 milligrams of Anavar, I'm going to do 10, perhaps even 20. Or I know, I'm going to hire that famous coach, for example, James Iota. And if I hire him, he turns all these women's pro. And so what does he then do? Hey, you need to take LGD 4033. You need to take more Anavar, perhaps Ostrine, whatever. And while you're at it, let's take some cleanse, some T3. Let's take retatrutide, trizipatide, GLP-1. Let's take everything, including the kitchen sink. Maybe even some growth hormone. Why don't we take that year round? And so I said James Iota, but it's other coaches as well. He's just someone who I personally know for certain that he does this. Well, at least many of those compounds. And so people are thinking,
Wow, what an amazing coach. Did you see what he did with that athlete? In just 5 months, they now look amazing.
well, all they did is tell them to take drugs. It's not that complicated.
So you competed for the first time at 17 then?
Yep, in bikini.
And so she first competed at 17, having started lifting weights at 14, and competed in bikini. Now, do you really think when she first joined the gym, her goal, if she were to close her eyes and imagine her dream physique, it would have been a Miss Olympia competitor competing in figure? One with massive biceps, shredded veins, and a very deep voice. I can't see it. Now, if you said her goal was to be a Miss Bikini champion, I'd say, yeah, I could believe that. But to think that her goal was to get that massive when she first started, that she would use and abuse, clearly, performance-enhancing drugs, I don't believe it. I think that when most females join the gym, they join the gym to look and feel better, to be healthier, to gain confidence. And I don't think that they think, I'm going to use steroids. I think that comes a little bit later, and most of the time it's because they want to compete and to win. Chances of winning bikini, figure, women's physique, and so on when you're natural, especially at the highest level, well, that's perhaps 1 in a million. And so if she had stayed in women's bikini, I think she could have stayed natural and been amazing. I do believe she has excellent genetics. I mean, look at her transformation. Now, I get it, it was with performance-enhancing drugs, but even without, she would have still looked phenomenal. And so my personal opinion, now remember, I'm not her, she can do what she wants, is that if I were coaching her, I would have said, let's not abuse those steroids. Let's stay in women's bikini. But alas, people, they want the pro card and they want to keep going. And even once you turn pro, well, now you want to win a pro show. You need more muscle. You need more conditioning. You need more steroids. And even if you win a pro show, now you're at the Olympia, you place top 10. Now what? You need more steroids. You need more muscle, more conditioning, and again, more steroids. And so that is what happens. Everyone is continuing to try to get better. And in order to get better, do you really think they can just do this by just putting in the work? I'm just going to train harder than last time like Coach Greg. Well, they try, they compete, and hey, it wasn't good enough. And everyone else is using them, and so what do you think they're going to do?
It didn't take her too long to continue to climb the ladder in bodybuilding, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, until at age 23, she won her pro card.
Had she competed in a drug-tested bodybuilding competition, you know, like the one that Will Tennyson did, or perhaps Hussein Farhat, the pressure to use steroids is a lot lower. I mean, think of it. Many of these competitions, they're actually drug testing their athletes. Not everyone gets tested, but there's a chance you're going to get tested. And so they're looking for smaller competitors, less muscle, less conditioned. And so it's more realistic for you to stay natural. But when they're looking for the biggest and leanest and most shredded, what do you expect people to do?
Now, she won her pro card in a division called figure, which is a much, much bigger category than was bikini and what is now becoming a new category, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it is what it is.
And so Coach Colden is not a fan of Fit Model. Why not? Colton, me and you were trying to discourage women from using steroids. Clearly, this is a good fight. I'm happy that you're doing these videos. Fit Model discourages steroid use. And how do they do that? They look for less conditioning and less muscle. They're still fit, trust me. These girls, they look amazing. I watched the pro qualifier in Toronto. They were phenomenal. Clearly, they put in the work. And many of them, I believe, 100% natural. Now, were they all natural? Of course not. Some are using steroids. But even those who are, they're using a lot less, perhaps low enough doses so they don't slowly transition into a man. Now, when I'm watching the bikini competitors in the pro category, most of them are not natty. Many of them not even using smaller doses, Anavar, Ostrine, and so on. Oftentimes they're injecting Primo, doing growth hormone, and many, and I'm not kidding, many are injecting Tren. You're thinking, there's no way. It's women's bikini. Trust me. Do you think I make this shit up? Why would I do that? I don't lie about what people are taking. This is the truth.
So I told my parents I wanted some instruction, and they said, okay, get you a trainer, but you need a goal.
So I've always wanted to get like this. Like I wanted to have veins in my arms all the time and like just like walk around like that. It's not because I wanted to look like this.
Anyone believe that? Or is she doing a lot of copium on top of Anavar?
Let's compare an interview that she did a few months after this one, just a few months after this one with this same channel, and you could hear if there's any changes.
First of all, I've been having so much fun.
And so remember, after getting her pro card, 5 months later, what happened to her voice? She turned pro, and at that point, perhaps it was even natural. She won her IPP Pro card in figure while being 100% natural. I believe it's possible. But once she turned pro, she would have to have known, look, if you want to get to the Olympia, you need significantly more muscle. You're not going to do it by training harder than last time, by getting Coach Greg's cookbook. You're going to need steroids, SARMs, growth hormone, you name it.
5 months.
Like many people go through, I experienced an eating disorder. I had been from 16 to 19. I never really let off of like prepping my food and stuff.
And notice, it started out with ED, and I'm not talking about erectile dysfunction, but if you are, harder than last time. How often do you think it happens where a woman has an ED, that's where you don't eat properly and so on, you know what I'm talking about, and they enter a competition? Now, did they have the ED and then enter the competition, or did they enter the competition and then develop an ED? Because to look the part of a bikini champion, you have to lower your body fat levels to sub 15%, and for many women, it causes amenorrhea. That is when you do not have your period. How is that healthy? To drop your body fat, to starve yourself essentially, to reduce your calories to perhaps 1,200 or less, and do 1 or 2 hours of cardio a day with hardly fueling your body to get the look. And so if you do that 100% natural, most females, they're not going to have any muscle. They're going to look stringy. They're going to look like they have an ED, and they're not going to win. But if they take SARMs, Anavar and Ostrine, the most common ones to start, they're going to look phenomenal. And so you're saying, hey, wow, you looked incredible. That's amazing. And you're thinking, really? Well, all I did was take Anavar and Ostrine, and I did 2 hours of cardio a day, and I starved myself. I guess that is what I have to do because everyone is telling me how good I look. And what else will they say? Well, you need to get some breast implants. You have to train your glutes more. And of course, get some hair extensions, some lip filler, Botox, and perhaps get a proper tan. And so why do you think these women get an ED? Now, I would strongly recommend you try to stay natural. I mean, do you not want to use everything at your disposal? And so Turk Builder Max, 0% chance, as in not even 1 in a million chance that this is going to turn you into a man. You're not going to get a deeper voice. You're not going to get an Adam's apple. You're not going to get acne. You're not losing your hair. You're not growing a mustache, and your downstairs is not going to be your third leg. And so why not start with that? And if you want increased cardio, you know what this is. GO2 Max improves your cardio. And while we're at it, why not take GLP Max? It reduces your cravings, reduces your appetite, makes it easier to stick to your diet. And if you eat an appropriate amount of calories, you won't need to do 2 hours of cardio to get lean. Calories in, calories out.
I was convinced there's no way a female could have this drastic of a change so quickly.
And so unfortunately, it does happen this fast, and I've seen it in the past. Women starting to take steroids, for example, 20 milligrams of Anavar, they're competing in bikini figure and so on, and they're about 8 weeks out. And I listen to them talk, and I'm thinking, unfortunately, you have to stop. I don't want to be the one that has to tell you this, but I know that no one else is going to do this. And this has happened for years. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been telling people this for 20 years. Your voice is changing. You sound like a man. And if you don't stop right now, it's going to be permanent. Now, if your voice just begins to change, and for the ladies, this is when you sound like you're sick.
I have a scratchy throat. I think I'm just starting to get a cold.
No, you're taking steroids. You need to stop. Or perhaps it's SARMs. And so if you stop right away, there's a good chance it'll go back to normal. But if you keep pushing it, for example, you're 2 weeks out from your show. You're going to win your pro card. You can't wait. 2 more weeks, Greg. Can I just do it for 2 more weeks? Nope. 2 more weeks, it's over. You are slowly transitioning into a man, and I know you're almost there. And if you keep pushing it, you will win. It's not worth it. If you're an attractive female, you're perhaps in your 20s, or sad to say this, but oftentimes they are beginning this in their teens. You're thinking, this is what I want. This is where I get my dopamine, my self-worth. I now feel special. It's the one thing that I'm good at, better than anyone else. And I have so much potential. I have to take the steroids. You actually don't. And even if you do, you do it. You take them and you win everything you've ever wanted. And then what? What are you going to do next? You won the Miss Bikini Championship. You won Miss Bikini. Yay. You got some money, perhaps some more followers, perhaps a sponsorship by whatever supplement company that you want. And now what? Okay, next year, let's do it again. And again. And again, okay, 5 years go by, you're 5 times straight Olympia Bikini Champion. It's unbelievable. But now you sound like a man. Eventually, you're going to retire. How long can you be a women's bikini champion? Probably not all that long. For how long? Somewhere in your 30s. At that point, you're at your maximum. You're peaked. And eventually, you have to stop. And so if you then say, oh, I'm going to go from bikini into figure. Oh, my goodness. Or wellness. Wellness is a common one. Do you know how many steroids women are taking to compete in wellness? Oh, but Coach Greg, those women are hot. I'm not saying they're not hot, but have you spoken to them? Have you checked out their downstairs? They've got legs bigger than mine. My legs are pretty jacked. Small waist, nice curves, a huge derriere. But what about their voice, their Adam apple? What about the acne, the fact that they're losing their hair? And imagine how their body is speaking out to them in Braille. With the acne, and if you tested their blood work and you looked at it, analyzed it, the cholesterol, the liver, the kidneys, a lot of damage is being done. And you're thinking, is it actually worth it? And then so now perhaps you're in your 40s or maybe even in your 50s. You keep pushing it. You've now stopped competing. You still go to the gym. You want to be fit, but now you sound like a man. You still go to the gym, but you're now not into competing. It's like, it was a thing when I was a teenager in my 20s, but now I'm in my 30s and 40s. I just want to have a family. I want to be a mom. I want to be with a normal guy who doesn't have a fetish for females with muscle. And so now what? You've lost half your hair. You have an Adam's apple. You sound like a man. You're going off the steroids. You lose all this muscle, and now you're shaving. And so you're like, hey, bro, can I pass me the razor? Not many men want to hear that in the morning. Sharing razors, shaving your face in the morning with your boyfriend or husband, it's not ideal. At one point in your life, say between the age of 17 and 27, it's all you could think about. It was amazing. And you surround yourself with friends that encourage you. These are basically enablers. If all your friends do steroids, they're all bikini competitors, figure competitors, or heavens forbids, figure and bodybuilding, well, it's normalized. I mean, they're all doing 50 milligrams of Anavar. Perhaps they're doing test and trend. And so you doing 10 milligrams Anavar or maybe even 20, it's nothing. This is nothing. Every girl's doing more. And so you do it. This is normal. If you find your friends, your 5 closest friends, you're most likely going to be doing the similar things that they do. And so be careful who your friends are. They all mean well. It's fun. When you love something, you want other people to love it the same way. I love cycling. And so, of course, I encourage Mepsigram to race on a bike. Now, what has that done so far? Well, she crashed and broke her hand, and she's an eye surgeon. I love biking, though. And so my brother, he rides bikes. I ride bikes. It's fun. All of us ride bikes. Now, in the past, when I was bodybuilding, my friends were bodybuilding. They were using steroids. And so what do you think eventually I started to? I also started to do steroids. So it's easy to go from one thing to the next. And it's all fun. You're loving it. And you want to share that love. You want to share your passion. But all good things come to an end. And once you're no longer competing in bikini, figure, and so on, you might look back at your past with regrets. Man, I like bodybuilding. I like competing in bikini, but why didn't I compete in the drug-tested competition? You know, you're watching this video right now, and this may in fact apply to you, and you're thinking, why am I using all these steroids? Can't I just do it with less? I mean, maybe you can't go 100% natural, but could you use less, the lowest dose that makes you happy? Remember, I'm not a hypocrite. I'm on HRT, 140 milligrams a week. I'm not 100% natural, but at least I'm not using tren. At least I'm not on the dad cycle, as Dura would explain. But remember, Dura just won and is qualified for the Olympia. And so, do you really think he has any regrets? Of course not. But what if 10 years from now, he looks back and he's thinking, you know what? If I hadn't have done that, I would have lived longer. Was it actually worth it? Maybe it was. You know, who am I to say if it's worth it or not? But I'm telling you, for women, if you slowly transition to a man and 5 or 10 years from now, you're thinking, I don't even want to compete anymore, then was it actually worth it?
And that's when I realized that she was coached by Shelby Starnes, someone who's been in the Washington Post and investigated several times before.
And so Shelby Starnes was her coach. This coach is infamous. That's famous for coaching in a negative way. Not all his athletes were healthy, had some negative consequences, to say the least. But regardless of who your coach is, you're the one listening to your coach. And so my personal opinion is you can't just blame the coach. The coach has been hired to win. Each coach generally has a certain reputation of what kind of things they're going to do. You know it going in. And so if you hire a coach that says, I want you to use a lot of steroids, a lot of SARMs, and you hear your voice changing, it's on you to tell your coach to shove it up his ass, and you're not going to take that. Now, if you don't think that your cycle is safe, you can send me a DM and name your coach and name your cycle. I've had several of these. I don't mind. I'll tell you exactly what I think. You're a moron. Like when somebody hired me and said, you know, my last cycle is 25 milligrams of T-ball and whatever else it was, as soon as I heard 25 milligrams of T-ball, I said, give me a call. Hello. Immediately I knew it was over. If you're injecting testosterone, anything beyond 10 milligrams a week, it's probably going to slowly transition to you in a man. Even 25 milligrams a week is a lot. It's just a lot. I'm sorry.
Oh, but it's Primo. Primo is less androgenic than testosterone. It's not as serious.
Yeah, it's not. Perhaps it's half as much, but half as much is still a lot. If you're taking 50 milligrams of Primo a week, that would be like, for example, 25 milligrams of testosterone. It's a lot. You can't do it. Testosterone in a female is about 12 times as strong as that of a man. I'm on 140 milligrams a week. Divided by 12, it's about 12. If a woman were taking 12 milligrams of testosterone a week, she's probably going to feel as strong as Coach Greg. In her body, she's going to feel it a lot. Trust me. 140 milligrams for most men, it's going to completely change your physique. And so if you're thinking, well, low doses could never change me. Yeah. 10 milligrams for a female Anavar. For some women, they can tolerate it. For others, they cannot. And just because it's a SARM does not mean that it's safe. Just because they both start with the letter S doesn't mean that they're safe. SARMs can virilize. That means to slowly transition you into a man. Steroids can virilize. Both of them can. In lower doses, you might get away with it. But in higher doses, especially if you're not genetically prone to using these substances, it's not good.
Hey, that's
No,
one
I just
question
got an
for you.
email 180 T3 for 8 weeks.
180 T3.
And 2+ hours of cardio, plus 180, 200 micrograms of Clen, plus 600 milligrams of DNP.
Oh my
What the hell?
What's insane is that people are still using DNP, and we know females who have died of this, men who have died of this. Yeah, it burns up a lot of calories, but calories in, calories out. If you don't eat the food, you don't have to burn off the calories. And so every single last human being on this planet can lose weight. All of you. I suggest you get my cookbook and, of course, the Circle Diet book to teach you how to eat properly. If that isn't enough, you can, of course, get GLP Max. Now, if you have the money and you can afford the peptides and you're into that kind of stuff, like the Ozempics, the retatrutide, the trizipides, that can also significantly decrease your appetite. And I do believe that it's a lot safer than using DNP, which literally is killing people. And so I prefer people to use something that doesn't kill them than use things that do kill people. Like, that is the logic that I use. This could kill you. This probably not going to do that. Which would I recommend? Now, I'm not saying, oh, just take the shortcut and don't do cardio and don't do this and don't do that. But for some people, I just think it's smarter to use these compounds than to not.
There is at least 4 individuals who were coached by Shelby who, within pretty rapid succession, died.
And so when there's 4 people that died from those protocols and you still go to that coach, is it really the coach's fault? I mean, you're going to this coach because you'll do anything to win. You don't care. And so I can't say it's a coach's fault. If you're the athlete and you know the coach is like this and you still listen to the coach, it's on you.
In this case, Melissa might have actually known what she was getting into. She might have looked in the mirror and said, hell yeah, this is worth it.
Another thing you need to realize is decisions that you make while on steroids are not actually your decisions. You think that they are, but they're not. You know how you're not supposed to sign contracts while you're drunk or on drugs? Those decisions that you make when you're high, for example, or when you're drunk, you made the decision, but you were influenced by the drug that you're on. And so if you're on steroids while making that decision, it's influencing you. And so if you're on 20 milligrams of Anavar a week and you decide, you know what, I'm going to add in some T-ball, or I'm going to add in some LG 4033 or some Rad 140 or maybe some Test and some Trend, your brain has already been rewired. It's already changed. And so that decision to use those other steroids, it's been influenced. Just because you think you want that, you might not actually want that.
What I'm making this video for is people who don't know that steroids have alternative effects.
Exactly. And so obviously she's not going to like that I said her name is Bro, Melissa Bro. Like, no one's going to like that, even though I have given her some compliments. It's not all compliments. What am I supposed to say? She's so attractive. She's so awesome. She never changed her voice. She doesn't sound like a man. Am I supposed to say that? And so if you're already a bodybuilder, this isn't going to convince you to stop. I know this. You're already an IFBB pro. You're not going to stop. Oh, Coach Greg is bad for the sport. He shouldn't be an IFBB pro. He shouldn't be allowed to. He should. What about the people who aren't on steroids yet? The ones who are thinking about it. You know who you are. You're watching this right now thinking, oh, maybe next month I'm going to do a show. I might use steroids. I use SARMs. You're the one that this video is for. You need to reconsider. You don't need to do it. Have you thought about everything? Because if you just thought of it for a month, you're not ready. Would you think about marrying someone after you met them for a month? Oh, it's been a month. I'm committed. I'm going to marry that person, be with them for the rest of your life. Because guess what? Deciding to use steroids and SARMs is a bigger commitment than marriage. Once you've been married, well, you can get a divorce. And so what? Happens all the time. You might lose half of your money, but at least you have your health. With steroids, once you've done steroids, you can't ever be natural again. You can't just say, hey, I never did it. I'm undoing all those damages. My heart, it's back to normal. You can't. Don't take a month. Take several years. And if you're in your teens, you're not even close to being ready. I don't care if C-Bum did it. I don't care if this guy did it and that guy. And if you're in your early 20s, you're still too young. Wait until you're older. And, oh, but you're a hypocrite. I waited until I was in my 30s. Thought about it for years. I waited. Now, do I have any regrets? Yep. Wished I hadn't done it. What do you think you're going to think? I think that when you get old enough and you reflect, you're going to be like, that was dumb. Because once you use steroids, the bar moves, you keep wanting more. It's never going to be enough. I don't care if you win the Mr. Olympia. It's still not enough. If you're looking for any of the supplements, these are natural supplements. Remember, I don't recommend you take these as teenagers. Wait until you're older, until you hit a plateau. Then you can start adding in these supplements. Enter code Greg to save yourself 15% off. Click the link in the description. You'll see everything there, including the cookbooks, the training book, coaching plans by me and my team. Remember, if you want to get coached safely by Coach Greg and you get FaceTime with Coach Greg, you get unlimited text messages, you get the check-ins, you get the training program, the diet, it's all there. Even your blood work read. Like, think of it. Are you going to get any better? Click the link in the description, apply, and it is, in fact, dramatically cheaper prices than before. It's still expensive, but it's way cheaper than it was. And so if you're interested, head to the website right now, subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm, like the video if you liked it. Don't forget to watch one of those 2 bloops. And until next time, I am out.